From Charlotte Motor Speedway with Ford Mustang racing driver Jimmy Car Farley, who also has a side gig as the CEO of the Ford Motor Company. That's a pretty nice hustle for somebody who likes cars.
Muscle cars are powerful American cars that have been around for a long time and people all over the world love them. Let's take a look at the 10 fastest Ford muscle cars ever made and understand why they are part of the company's history. Number 1. 2013 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake. The 2013 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake is a powerful muscle car. It was only made in limited numbers, around 500, so it's hard to find one to buy. Want to know why it ranks number 1 on our list? Well, it comes with a very powerful engine with 662 horsepower and a top speed of 202 miles per hour. The most powerful Mustang ever made, including limited editions, and the last Mustang approved by Carroll Shelby. However, it is hard to find and expensive, especially the high-powered version. Number 2. 2010 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The 2010 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 is a high-performance version of the Ford Mustang muscle car. It came out in the middle of the 5th generation of Mustangs, which is in the period of 2005 to 2014. Want to know what's great about this car? It has a very powerful engine with 540 horsepower. It handles well thanks to a special suspension. It was the fastest Mustang ever made at the time in 2010. Want to know what's not so cool about this car? Well, it gets poor gas mileage. It's not very practical for everyday driving because of limited trunk space. Number 3. 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 is a very powerful and fast muscle car. It has a supercharged engine that makes 760 horsepower, which is more than any other Mustang ever made. The car handles well and can reach a top speed of 180 miles per hour. However, it gets poor gas mileage and the back seats are very small. Number 4. 2003 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. The 2003 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra is a high-performance version of the classic Ford Mustang muscle car. It has a powerful engine that makes 390 horsepower and can reach speeds of over 175 miles per hour if the limiter is removed. This car is known for its quick response and agility. However, it only comes with a manual transmission, so you'll need to know how to drive this stick. Number 5. 2016 Ford Mustang GT350. The 2016 Ford Mustang GT350 is a powerful and fast American muscle car. It was released to celebrate 50 years of Mustangs and quickly became popular. Let's know what makes it great. It has a very fast engine with 526 horsepower, which makes the car exciting to drive. It can go up to 174 miles per hour, which is as fast as some expensive European sports cars. It looks great and handles well on curves. However, there are certain things that need to be kept in mind. 2016 Ford Mustang GT350 gets poor gas mileage because of the powerful engine. The clutch pedal may feel too easy to push for some drivers. Number 6. 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Super Snake. In 1967, Ford made a super fast Mustang called the Shelby GT500. It was even faster than the regular GT500 because it had a special racing engine. This extra powerful Mustang was called the Super Snake, but they only made one because it was too expensive to build a lot of them. Here's what made the Super Snake special. It has a powerful engine. It had a racing engine that made it super fast, like one of the fastest muscle cars of the 1960s. The car has amazing looks. People think the regular GT500 is one of the best looking Mustangs ever, and the Super Snake looked just like it. However, it is a super rare car. Since they only made one, it's very hard to find one today. Number 7. 1987 Ford Mustang GT 5.0. The 1987 Ford Mustang got a big makeover that lasted until 1993. It was a sporty car with an aggressive look and a powerful engine. Even though the engine wasn't the most powerful, the car was lighter than other Ford muscle cars, so it could still compete. It was fast, going from 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds and had a top speed of 143 miles per hour, which was much better than the previous year's model. Let's know what's good about the 1987 Mustang. It was lighter than earlier Mustangs, so it felt faster even though the engine wasn't the strongest. The engine focused on power at low speeds, which made it good for everyday driving. However, the electrical system, which is the alternator, could break after a lot of miles. Number 8. 1994 Ford Mustang GT SVT Cobra. In the 1990s, even though muscle cars weren't as powerful as before due to new laws, Ford made a cool but underrated Mustang called the 1994 SVT Cobra. This Mustang had a smaller 5.0-liter V8 engine than older ones with 240 horsepower, but it was still fast, reaching 137 miles per hour. You can find these Mustangs today for around $8,000. What's the good stuff in this car? Well, even with a smaller engine, it was still fast and handled well. The brakes were much better than on older Mustangs, however, the transmission sometimes makes a whining noise. Number 9. 1970 Ford Torino GT Cobra 429. The 1970 Ford Torino GT was a powerful muscle car made by Ford. It was bigger and boxier than the Ford Mustang, but just as fast. Here are the good things about the 1970 Ford Torino GT. It had a very powerful engine, one of the biggest on the market at the time. This engine made it fast and able to compete with other muscle cars. It only came in a high-performance version, so there are not many of them around today. This makes them rare and valuable. The designers did a great job in 1970, making the car look both powerful and stylish. Here are not so good things about the 1970 Ford Torino GT. It was a very heavy car, so it was not the easiest car to handle when driving. The inside of the car sometimes made noises when you drove it. Number 10. 1973 Ford Falcon XB-GT. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, many car companies in the USA were making very fast and powerful muscle cars. These cars were so good that they inspired each other to make even faster cars. One such muscle car was the 1970 Ford Falcon XB-GT, built by Ford Australia. This car was very popular in Australia, but it wasn't sold in the USA because Ford stopped selling Falcons there in 1970. The XB-GT had a big engine that made 300 horsepower, which was enough to compete with the fastest American muscle cars. It was also known for being easy to handle. Want to know what is so special about the 1973 Ford Falcon XB-GT? Well, the car was fast and agile. The engine was very powerful for its size, however, it was only sold in Australia. It took a few years for Ford to catch up to other muscle cars like Chevrolet and Dodge. There were some very fast, limited production Ford models, but they were expensive and not very common. In 1968, Ford finally came out with a really powerful Mustang engine called the 428 Cobra Jet. This engine made the Mustang a serious contender in street racing. Several other very fast Mustangs followed the 428 Cobra Jet, making Ford a leader in high-performance cars. The Ford Mustang is the most famous Ford muscle car, but Ford actually made many powerful muscle cars over the years. Some of the best Ford muscle cars include the Ford Fairlane Torino GT, Mercury Cougar GTE, Ford Torino Talladega, Mustang Mach 1 Cobra Jet, Ford Torino Cobra, Ford Mustang Boss 351, and Ford F-150 SVT Lightning. In a nutshell, about the company Ford, it is one of the biggest car makers in the world, founded by Henry Ford in 1903. They sell various car types like sedans, SUVs, Ford and luxury car brand called Lincoln's Cars and Trucks, and have factories in many countries. Ford is famous for creating efficient car production lines. They used to own other car companies like Jaguar and Volvo, but don't anymore. The company is headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, and sells vehicles worldwide. In 2023, the company did well financially with a revenue of $176.2 billion.